What's up, podcast listeners? This is Drew Taylor and Andy Searles here. Welcome back to episode 4 of What's Up Castleberry podcast. Andy and I are excited to have you here. We're Castleberry residents and local pastors if you're first-time listeners. And our desire in this time together is to have a casual conversation on this podcast for the good of the people of Castleberry, to talk about issues within Castleberry, and also include guests and friends who are involved with working for the good of Castleberry. So Andy, welcome, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing great. First of all, let me congratulate you on that new opening. I like your phraseology. You've obviously been working on that.
Trying to make it smoother.
But I'm doing great. I've had a good week. We're sitting here and rain is coming down outside and it's feeling a little bit Florida-y.
And what is today, by the way, the day we're recording?
Well, today is Valentine's Day. I'm not quite sure when this episode is coming out, but my guess is Valentine's Day will be a distant memory. Did you get something for your wife?
I did. I remembered a couple days ago. She is worth celebrating every single day. So there you go, babe. That's for you.
Well, I was at Target last night about 9 o'clock, and there was a bunch of hapless husbands trying to find the cheapest cards there. So that's where
nothing
I
like
am.
waiting to the last minute. Well, Andy, as we open this podcast, episode 4, we like to talk about things that are happening locally in Castleberry. Castleberry in the news. Perhaps it's Target, 9 o'clock at night, day before Valentine's Day, but maybe there's other things going on in Castleberry. Andy, what's going on in the news?
Yeah, so about this segment, there are two ways that we're kind of finding our news of the city. One is through the grapevine, which we're trying to connect to and become part of. And secondly is through Google Alerts. And there was a very interesting Google alert about Castleberry this week. It said that our local Castleberry Police Department was offering scent kits where you go into the station and somehow you give them a part of your scent and they keep it on file. So if you should go missing or kidnapped or abducted by aliens, then they have your scent to show to their dogs.
So our local police department desires to help find missing persons using their scent. I'm afraid to ask too many questions. I mean, honestly, that sounds like a great idea to be able to help our local police dogs do the job. I would think maybe a T-shirt or a sweater would suffice, but apparently you can use your scent.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure I would like to work close to the room that stores the scents. And I would think you have to kind of... almost like prepared to donate your scent, right? I mean, if you have it right after a shower where you're using some kind of soap, then does that change your scent? What if you went in right after working out? Does that give off a different odor? I don't know. If you go in after a meal, does that? I don't know. However, I mean, kudos to Castleberry Police Department. I think that is a useful tool, and hey, if it helps us recover someone or find someone, then that's a great thing.
That's right. In the article, I do note that they mention specifically perhaps looking for Alzheimer's patients. Mm-hmm. And they say that the scent will last up to 10 years once it's bottled. So hope you had a good smelling day.
So here's the challenge, Castleberry listeners. Go to our local police department right there on 1792. Ask for Officer Laura Chitty and say you would like to donate your scent, and then take a picture of her face, because I think that would be very interesting to see how they react. So hashtag donate your scent.
I like it. There you have it. There's the news of Castleberry for the week.
Again, another slow week, which we can celebrate and be thankful for.
Yes, sir. Andy, let's take a moment now to answer a question that one of our listeners has submitted to us. If you have a question or comment for the What's Up Castleberry podcast, there's a myriad of ways in which you can post them. You can send us a direct message on our Facebook page, What's Up Castleberry, our Instagram page, What's Up Castleberry, or leave a review and a comment in our podcast news feed, also called What's Up Castleberry. So lots of opportunities in which to share questions. We appreciate you who have shared and asked good questions and left good comments to this point. Andy, today's question is in the form of this. It says, are there specific Castleberry-related topics that you two are looking to address? And are there ones that you're seeking to avoid? Andy, do you want to start off on that?
Well, that is a great question. So I'd like to thank listener Questions for Castleberry for submitting that. I think I would say two things in terms of the things that we want to talk about. I don't really mind the topic, but I do want that topic to help us build a sense of a community. I want it to inform our residents. I want it to paint the city in a positive light, and I want it to be informative. So honestly, if it fits within those criteria, let's take it on and we'll tackle it. Anything we want to avoid, I think by the same measure, I think anything that doesn't fit those those criteria. I tend to find political conversations pretty divisive at times. So I don't mind talking about issues, but I think if we sidestep some of the politics, that would be helpful. I tend to be a little bit of a prude and get embarrassed easily. So conversations about, things that embarrass me would
things like
be off topic.
Things like scents that you might bottle up.
Yes, I feel very uncomfortable talking about your body scents, Drew.
Andy, one phrase, I agree totally with your assessment. One phrase that you and I use just in private conversation is just the desire to seek the peace and prosperity of the city. And so to that question, the only thing I would add is in regards to what are we interested in talking about, what do we desire to talk about or even maybe not speak about, our goal is to seek the peace and the prosperity of Castleberry. And so there are a myriad of ways to do that, including at times touching on very difficult subjects. So while we are not trying to avoid specific subjects on the whole, generally the ideology, the flow of our conversation is to seek the peace and prosperity. Exactly what you said. So uplifting, informative, encouraging.
I love that. And that's a great phrase too, because peace and prosperity really are two profound things, right? We can disagree and still find peace. And prosperity obviously means a whole lot more than just financial success as well. So yeah, good parameters, great question, good answers.
Excellent. Again, thank you to the listener who asked that question. If you have a question, again, reach out to us on our Instagram, Facebook, or podcast feed. Our sponsorship read is Platinum Signs. Platinum Signs is local to Castleberry, located right behind the Target off 1792. Yesha Patel and her team do a phenomenal job of providing all of your needs in terms of gear, equipment for logos, T-shirts. I know Andy, my staff, and I, we had our polo shirts for the church made by Yesha and the team at Platinum Signs.
And if I may say, you look dashing in them.
Thank you very much. It helps. It only makes me look better. But logos, printed materials. We have a nice step and repeat banner behind us. And so Yesha and her team at Platinum Signs do an amazing job. We highly encourage you visiting them. At this time, we're going to take a break and we'll come back with our guest of the day. Welcome back, podcast listeners. We are so excited, Andy and I are, to have...
I'm giddy. I'm like a kid on Christmas Eve.
Today's special guest is above and beyond perhaps what we are even used to this point in our series.
We are honored.
We are humbled.
Enough.
In fact, we're sitting on the floor right now because we cannot sit next to this great man.
Welcome to our guest, City Commissioner Bill Hufford.
Bill, we are delighted that you are here. When we started talking about this project, it didn't take long before we thought that your knowledge and wisdom would be a great conversation to have.
We'll see if that proves out.
Yes, I'm confident it will. For many reasons. One, because you're a friend to both of us, you're a mentor to both of us, and we appreciate that deeply. You've been in a city for a long time. You've helped both Drew and I understand the city, how it works politically, legally, as a society. But Bill, you don't know this. Perhaps the greatest accolade we can give you is a few weeks ago on episode 1 or 1.5 or whatever, Drew and I had a quick exchange about people we admired most in the city.
Uh-oh.
You know who Drew said?
No.
Your wife? No, I'm just kidding. Although we do love your wife.
That's a
Colleen,
good
as well.
choice. That's a good choice.
But he said you.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Is your head swelling?
No.
Okay, good.
Because I know I'll walk out the door, it'll all change real quickly.
All right, so we want our listeners to get to know you, and we got a few questions, and I'm sure the conversation will take us in lots of exciting places. But Bill, let's start at the beginning. Tell us about you. Who are you? Tell us about your family, what you do, how you came to live in Castleberry.
Well, we'll go back to how I came to live in Central Florida to begin with. Both my wife and I are high school sweethearts. We got married in Indiana. We're from Indiana.
Okay.
And at the time, way back then, there was something called the Vietnam War, and you couldn't get a job unless, because you might be called to service. So I'm sitting here waiting. What am I going to do? We graduated from school up there from Purdue. So we both came down here in 1970. Okay. That's significant because Disney opened their doors in October of 71. So we weren't sure if there's going to be any land of opportunity.
Just so you know, Drew and I weren't born in.
Well, I understand that. So that's why I'm explaining this all to you. This is a history lesson for you guys. So
we've been schooled.
You could, so take good notes. So anyway, so we came down in 1970, and then I went to get a master's degree from UCF, which was FTU at the time. So again, a little bit of history lesson.
So was life in black and white then, or did you have color?
Pretty much. We brought color. That's what it was.
You brought color.
Well, that's why Mickey Mouse is black and white. See, if you notice, he wasn't in color. Anyway, so no, to answer your question. So while we were here, we got involved with the house church, and a lot of the people who lived in our that we were part of lived in Castleberry.
Okay.
So at a point when we were ready to move in 1980, we chose to come be close to them, just be a part of the community.
Sure.
And so we did. We found a nice empty lot and built on it and moved in. And actually this month, 40 years ago, which is amazing. Wow, very special. We never thought that would be the case. But so we moved in, and we just did the typical things that young parents do. We had 2 children, Matt and Liz. I was working for SunTrust, and she was busy raising the kids, did a little bit of craft business, and we just kept going, but no particular involvement in the community. It was just kind of it was there, a place to drive, a place to live, maybe a place to eat or do something, but beyond that, there's just no involvement at all. So
how did you get involved in the community?
What had happened was back not too long after we moved there, we found out there was an industry that wasn't particularly family friendly, and they were running 3 candidates that trying to get what we basically control the commission. So we have 5 commissioners, we have a mayor and 4 commissioners, but we have 5 votes basically. So they realized that if they had control, then they could determine what kind of codes we have, what kind of industry we have, where the city's going to go. And so we said, well, that doesn't sound good to us. And so we helped the other opposing candidates run against them. And the good news is we won the battle. So we changed. We changed the direction of where the city was going. So that was pretty exciting. So that just got our appetite whet. Somebody offered an invitation for Colleen to be a part of planning and zoning, which is another way people can get involved. Never done that before. She tried it, liked it, and then the next step was, how about running for commissioner? Wow. She ran for that, and after 12 years later, she termed out, but she was our city commissioner for 12 years. Really had a huge influence in how this city developed.
Interesting. Bill, how have you seen the city 1980 moving forward? How have you seen, even in recent years, just some real positives, some things to accentuate? We were asking another guest earlier about why would you move here? What would you say is like really some highlights that are in our city right now?
Well, a lot of different reasons, but I think that our city is very attentive to the residents here. They're very careful about how we develop, both commercially and residentially. It's a balancing act. How do you continue to progress? How do you continue to improve property values, but at the same time not allow developers to overrun you? So I really feel like Castleberry over the years has done a very successful job of balancing growth and maintaining a quality of life. So we've made a lot of key decisions along the way. One several years ago was the golf course became for sale, and it's kind of right in the middle of part of our communities. So we said, do we want to buy it or not? And we felt like in order to preserve the quality of life, the buffer, and obviously people on the golf, not just the people on the golf course, but just around surrounding areas, it was worth doing it. And so, sure, maybe it was a little bit pricey, but we have turned that into a real asset for a community. So that would just be one small example. Another one is we've got a lot of great talent on staff. And one of them is particularly talented in just connecting with the arts and the art culture. So we took just an old residential house and turned it into what we now call the art house, and are attracting internationally known artists to that. And our influence is much farther beyond just Seminole County. And now we've added another house that was we purchased from a resident. After they said, they passed away, they said we'd like for the city to have it, and that's a sculpture house. So now we have an art house, we have a sculpture house, so we have actually a sculpture garden right downtown in Lake Concord.
And those are public. Those are public to consume and check out.
Free to walk around and see. And so
I think that's one of Castleberry's kind of hidden gems. And I would encourage our listeners, if they haven't been there yet, stop by the Art House right there at Lake Concord Park, just off 1792, which is right next to the beautiful park there, which also has some great art, right next to the police station and right next to City Hall. Now, Bill, a lot of folks have driven by City Hall, and they kind of realize it's the hub of where the city is run from. But tell us a little bit about what happens in that building. Tell us a little bit about your role as a commissioner and how governance works in our city.
Probably the best way to describe that is you think of the commissioners as like a board of directors.
Okay.
So they don't have direct hands-on with all the people that are on staff, but they work with the city manager.
Okay.
And so he's the one who actually runs the day-to-day operations of the city, which is common with all our cities in Seminole County. So it's some cities are bigger, and the mayor himself or herself, she's the one that runs things. But in this case, we oversee, we give input to our city manager. He asks us opinions. So then his job is to assimilate the five of us and see if there's a common direction, a common purpose that we want. Good news is, and this isn't always true of every city, but we may disagree as commissioners, which is healthy, but we generally like the direction that we're going. And so it's developers and other people sense that, because if there's a chaos within the commission, typically that's going to be manifested throughout the city. So we all want something better for the community. We all like where we're headed. We may disagree on what steps to take, but again, that's a healthy discussion.
Yeah, and I would affirm that too. As I take a look in, I've been to one of your commission meetings recently, been to many over the years, got to know the city manager. His stability and consistency has really been a crucial part of our steady growth as a city. And again, your oversight and your care and your shared understanding has really been a great benefit to the city as well.
Yeah, and I've learned through that too is he's not the adversary, but he's the I want to be like help coach. How can I help you do your job? And so we have a great dialogue back and forth. So he'll share me some of his challenges as well as some successes. Really wants to hear from the commissioners. So
we've spoken about servant leadership a lot on the podcast, Drew, as well. And so the commission serves the city manager, and the city manager seeks to serve as well. And when we're all serving one another, we build a better community.
And I like that word Bill used, coach. And Andy mentioned at the top of our time about being a mentor, serving as a mentor, a coach, investing in the next generation, not accusing you of being, a little older, but
we already did that in the podcast.
Of course not.
Bill, what would you say would be some great kind of entry point opportunities to get involved in the city for those who are maybe younger?
Well, and I think there's a great advantage to be here in the city of Castleberry, mainly because of the attitude of the city manager and staff. They welcome input from the outside. And that can take the form of, you can be an individual that can sign up for one of our city committees, planning and zoning, parks and recreation, et cetera. Or you can be an active part of one of our nonprofits. It could be Rotary or Friends of the Park or other organizations, churches, and say, well, how can I come in and help serve and do something to help maybe clean up? And maybe if we have an event, we need volunteers to do these things. And the city just is very open-handed with that. They said, please, So you'll find that our city provides a lot more events and activities than maybe some other cities because of the volunteers. But it's easy to get in there. You can apply. They can walk you right through it. And you're not signing your life away. You're not going to be ever going back. You can try it. It's like it. If you don't, just back off. But many different ways that you can get involved that's maybe of your interest and passion.
You know, one thing you've said to me, Bill, in our times together is just getting a variety of experiences,
right?
In whether it's the school, parks,
schools,
planning and zoning, just putting yourself in the opportunity to hear about all the different facets that make up the city. I've really appreciated that wisdom and would encourage any of our listeners to do the same. Put yourselves in an environment, volunteer somewhere, serve somewhere, attend a meeting, and learn about what is it that you're passionate about and how you can further and better the city.
And you brought up something that I hadn't mentioned, but the schools. And of course, we as a city don't have influence directly with the schools, but they work well as another partner. So we've interacted quite a bit, both with our middle school and as well as with the elementary school, to help support the teachers, the parents, and what can we do to make it better? It could be cleanup, it could be mentoring, all that different things. So again, you find some great partnerships.
Bill, talking about getting involved, both Drew and I are going to begin soon the very first Castleberry Citizens Academy. And we're kind of stepping into that a little bit unknown, but we're excited to learn more. What can you tell us about that? Because that feels like another connection point in our community.
Well, and I think that's really a big deal. We've never done that before, and we're always looking for good, younger people. I'll have to admit, I'm probably playing the back nine right now, so I'm looking for someone.
Oh, you said it, not us, Bill.
Okay. So we're always looking for people who want to step in. We always get concerned if somebody shows up and has had no experience at all with the city. Like, well, what's your motive? Why are you here? What's going on? But if we get to know you, I say we in a very general sense, staff, commission, and other people involved in the community. So we see that the academy, the Citizens Academy, is a great way, first of all, to learn about the city, how it functions. Then we get to know you, interact at least with the staff. Now, the commission is not involved with that. But then it's a great opportunity just to see what works, what doesn't work, what questions you might have, maybe even make suggestions that staff could take away from. And then you can decide, how do I want to go from there? Do I want to get involved? How much do I want to get involved? But it's an informed decision rather than one that's made from something that you just don't know.
I love it. I'm very excited. What else is going on in the city that excites you?
Well, one of the things that's coming up is a bond referendum. It's coming up next month in March 17th.
What is a bond referendum? It doesn't sound too exciting to me.
Well, it's what it can do.
Okay.
Think of a bond referendum as a line of credit. And so we're going to the citizens, we're asking them, we've got 5 parks that are existing in a new potential park, that if we borrow this money over time, then we can make some significant improvements and create a new park. We're maintaining them fine, but we don't have enough money to actually enhance them, to bring new features, new stuff. So what we have done is we created a website, and it's goparks2020.org. That's goparks, P-A-R-K-S, 2020.org, and explains a lot about what we were doing with the parks and what our plans are. It even has a calculator that says if you're going to, if your house is worth X dollars, here's what you could likely pay per year if we borrowed all $24 million at once, which we're not going to do. But at least it gives you what we call worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So you know what you're looking at. But we really want to hear from the citizens. We did an exhaustive study, which again, I think is a credit to the city. We didn't piecemeal a little bit of pieces here or there. We took a step back, looked at all the parks, narrowed it down to these parks that are in that on the website. And we're asking citizens, do you want us to proceed with this or not? So it's really a choice is theirs.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Andy.
I was going to say, so the website is goparks2020.
Yeah, .org.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, please definitely get informed on that and make a conscious, smart decision. I can imagine, Bill, parks are a significant part of what makes Castleberry unique the ponds, just the beautiful green spaces that we have, knowing Friends of the Park and the work that they do. Bill, what, in addition to parks, what would you say are just you'd like folks to know, both in the city and also outside the city as we get ready to wrap up here? What's like a real highlight, something that you would want somebody that doesn't know to know about Castleberry?
I think it could really boil it down to just the two elements. I think one is what you've already mentioned. It's just the environment we have with the lakes, the winding roads, the tree-covered roads. The walkability is something we're very much emphasizing. We have a staff member who's being known nationally in terms of his initiatives. When we redo roads, we're looking at how we make them a little bit narrower to try to slow down traffic, which is an issue. But yet increase our sidewalks and stuff to make them more walkable. There's even a science behind that in terms of distance and attractiveness. So we've studied that. So you just don't put something out there and assume people are going to start walking. There's a lot more to it than that. So, but we're making a conscious effort to do that so that you can get around our town. We're even toying with the idea of golf carts, to get around too. So you can get around a lot of things without having to get out on the highways to go to some of our events. So that would be the environmental side. And then the people side is also, I think, important. We've got professionals. We have service industry people, great mix and diverse group. They interact well. And we give opportunities for any of those people to serve on our boards, to get involved in our nonprofits, churches, local. So you don't have to go very far or ask too many people before you can find out a way to plug in.
I love that. That's a great answer. Bill, in closing, I know that you have a kind of a more personal project, but it does kind of tie into what is going on in terms of your city leadership. Could you share with us about an upcoming project that you've been working on and are currently working on?
Well, believe it or not, I've actually published a guide or a book, if you will, called Against the Current. And it's a biblical worldview of how we should treat, if you will, our environment, in fact, everything about life. And my focus is, I started with Genesis chapters 1 and 2. And this is long before the sin got into the camp. And so it's interesting to go back and look at what God's original instructions were. And it becomes very fascinating. He created a good earth. Sometimes I go we see a lot of badness, but that was not what he created. Right. So our job is to say, well, what do we do about that? And so if you want to look at the environment, there might be pollution. Can we clean it up? Yes, we can. It might be we have broken marriages, but the original design was a good marriage. And so can we clean that up? Yes, we can. He's given us the ability through his son to enable us to make those changes. So we on our own can't do it, but we need to rely on what God has originally designed as good and embrace that and really, in one sense, have the time of our life. You may get some resistance. It's not all going to be perfect. It won't be all pretty. But how you do business, how you treat others, how you just go right down the line. I've got 4 cats, and so I'm regularly reminded how I got to treat them. They act like they own the place. So I don't know how well I'm doing there. They may be taking over before too long.
That's great. So tell us the name of the book again and how people can find it if interested.
Yes, it's Against the Current, and it is available on Amazon. It's both. We have the Kindle version and then the hard paperback version. We hope to have an audio version probably several months from now, but it'll be coming out a little bit later. So they're welcome to buy it then, and be glad if somebody has any questions. I could be glad to chat with them about it and how it works.
Bill, I've read your book. I love the book. I love the premise of the book, and I love how you are living out that book in your role as a commissioner.
Thanks.
That you are completely committed to making our community and our city a better place where we can live and work and socialize together. So, Bill, just as we wrap up, could you share a way that folks could contact you? I'm sure as commissioners, you're right on the front end of a lot of complaints, but hopefully some of our listeners would like to send you a compliment or two as well. But you're very accessible as a commissioner. So how do people access you?
Well, probably the best way, maybe it's through my email, personal email, Bill Hufford @gmail.com.
Okay.
If a commission hat, if you wear that, then it would be bhufford@castleberry.org. And they have even a general commission email address. So if you had a question or a complaint or issue on this in the city, you can send it to all 5 of us at one time, and then we'll take a look at that and see what the concern is. And yes, we do get a few of those from time to time. So anyway, that would be probably the easiest way.
That would be a great challenge to our listeners. This week, we had an action step around one of our quotes. So let's have an action step on Bill. Would you send a compliment to the commissioners? Let them know something you love about the city.
Flood his email. That's right.
Bill, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your wisdom with us today on What's Up Castleberry. Thank you for the many ways that you serve our city as a commissioner. And please know that we and many, many folks in our community are very, very grateful for all that you do to make sure that we live in such a great city.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's great.
Thanks, Bill. Well, thank you, Bill, for that time and your amazing insight.
Wasn't that incredible?
That was really, really powerful.
What an honor for us to have Bill on the podcast.
Hey, for our closing, we like to have an inspirational quote, an encouraging word for you, podcast listener, as you go out into the week. Andy, you have a quote that is meaningful to you.
Yeah, I do. And I think it's inspirational too. And I'll tell you the backstory behind this quote in a minute. But this is the quote that we would encourage our listeners to understand as they go about their day today. It says, the love in your heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. Let me say it again. The love in your heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. And I actually discovered that quote when I was just a young child visiting my grandpa's house in the Midlands in Birmingham in England. And he had that quote on a poster right above his bathroom, over the toilet. And I remember looking at it and thinking, man, that's an interesting quote. And something inside me as a young boy stuck with me, that love doesn't become real until we give it away. Love is not something for us to consume, for something to indulge. It's not something to become self-centered about. Love actually becomes love when we give it away. So my challenge to our listeners today is to love someone well. Maybe just a kind word, a little touch of encouragement, a little thank you or gratitude. Just do something to give love away today.
Love in action. I couldn't say it better myself. I also would note that in light of our discussion on the scents earlier in Castleberry in the News, it's interesting that your quote of the day comes from the bathroom. Well, folks, it's been great. We've enjoyed and hope you've enjoyed our time together today on the What's Up Castleberry podcast, a casual conversation about our community. This podcast is produced by James Bittner, music provided by Jeremy Birdsall, graphics by Christian Moscoso. Today's sponsor, Platinum Signs. And for more information, please check out our Facebook page, Instagram, or podcast feed, all with the name What's Up Castleberry. Like and subscribe to our podcast. Please rate and review us. And until next time, have a great week.